Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. All praise due to the Lord of the worlds. Hello everyone, welcome to another Mr. Within lecture. Who is Mr. Within? In short, I'm a Muslim sci-fi writer. As it relates, my attributes that relate to this channel. And also, I am a human being who has access visually and cinematically to my inner realms, to my inner sight. So what that means is I am what they call a visual thinker. So in other words, when I'm giving this talk, it's like I'm seeing a film and I'm putting words to it, giving words to it. Now, why such a title? Why such a position? Why? So first of all, the title of the episode to begin. First of all praise due to the Lord of the worlds. I'm 1 in 8 billion. Nothing is praiseworthy than that which is uncaused, uncreated, that created all. I will explain. By the way, the picture you're seeing for the wallpaper of this episode, this is a real life recreation of one of the most, I would consider it one of the most famous Japanese comic books. The one that in some sense ignited them all. Anyways, this is such an important picture that I just want to here on one of the talks. So, to dive into this, first of all, when the members of existence discovered the system admin, the system administrator, and why have I written laughing at time? Because today I had a hilarious experience. I would rather say a hilarious realization. Today I visited my over 90-year-old grandfather. And I saw him today and, he had a fever. I was there and it was like seeing someone as a kid I would remember to be a strong personality, eventually become weak. And he was so frail and so old, that I was just there like, telling him, trying to keep his mind active. But today, I went and saw my grandparents and I got super upset at how sad the life is where it's heading. And I was so sad until I got this realization and then I decided to give this talk. And you know what my realization was? It's silly. It's brilliant, yet silly. We're all gonna become silly people. We're all gonna become silly people. You don't know what I realized today. I realized today the seriousness was only for one's own show. It is not a serious place. Doesn't mean we shouldn't be serious though. And you'll be like, Mr. Within, what do you mean? Ya Allah, let me begin. As a swordsman who has unsheathed my blade many times when it has come to this point, My task in this moment is communicate directly from soul to world to God. The beautiful thing I have realized is that we are not alone. The beautiful thing I have realized is reality is too bizarre. The incredible thing I have realized is that we are living in shock. What that means I would predict 80% of the human species will be shocked after this lifetime. You see, we have surpassed, as a Muslim, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was the final messenger. And why do I say this? Because it was a conclusion. Islam is a conclusion. It is a conclusion that to make man aware of the system admin is enough. Dear listeners, I want to speak to you about God. But before that, I want to speak to you about the human being and the human position, and how 8 billion of us are organisms. If you've ever went into like somewhere and seen like an insect problem, I'm not saying that human beings are insects, but compared to the scale of perceivable reality, we are. We are small AF, and we cannot ignore this. And so what do the small do? Do they get lost in dreams of the big, or do they build? That is all you can do when you are small. When you have nothing, you pick up that mine and that pickaxe and start mining. All right, I gotta explain some things here, rather than endlessly build, an endless foreshadowing of what the talk's gonna be. All right, guys, here's the picture. I'm one human being. This is my feedback report. I am reporting to my species honorably, respectfully, but I am also reporting to my creator that is watching. And so I am speaking in the presence of existential forms and that which is beyond the forms of existence. And we as souls have been privileged with an ability to experience this relationship. You have not arrived in the middle of nowhere. You have not arrived, even though this is the secular case, that a bunch of organisms noticed they were existing. They freaked out of the massive scale of it, and they started saying workable stories, stories that they could consume, that the mind could handle to be a form. And you do not know. You think you're just a human being that's born and you're just like this new person. You are like a sword that has been sharpened by all your ancestors that were authorized to carry on. I am trying to pull you out of self, other, and world worship, yet in the effort to try to, in some sense, activate the advanced potential of a species, I discovered I am not a system admin. One of the hardest but most blessed realizations of my life, where in some sense, if imagine, I want you to imagine that all human beings, men, women, whatever, all human beings, technically, metaphorically, poetically, they can be seen as warriors. And all of us are on a battlefield. And what you think is the personality of a human being is in some sense their battle. They are in fight. They are in the fight. You know, if somebody says Mr. Within, so you pretty much for a decade, you know, starting from automatic speech, went with this sort of rhythm of unworldly moderation and gave all these 2,000 talks. And then after all these talks that you gave and all these moments you had of experiencing otherworldly rhythms that show man, that prove man, that man is not just man, yet this person who in some sense worked with the moderators, and I went forth just trusting my instinct and intuition, I realized I am a member, not a moderator. My ego was robbing my soul by oh man, sorry guys, I'm getting emotional because what I'm telling you was in some sense a heavy battle that I came out victorious. And so what was this? It was the battle of my soul, but who was stealing my soul from me? Guess who? It wasn't the world. It wasn't others. Believe it or not, it wasn't even the devil. What was stealing my soul from me was the idea of future me, which was our only intellectual hope. This is the sorrow of mankind. This is the lament of humanity. Our intellect and formed aspects they direct us to infinitude. The body can only become infinity. There is nothing else. That means I want you to imagine, just like, what was that thing called? Wizard of Oz, like there were those 3 archetypes, right? But now imagine there's these 3 different archetypes. It's as if a soul shouted at itself upon being startled that it was a being. And the soul shouted, "Body, what do you want?" The soul shouted at its own body, "What do you want?" And the body was silent, but then, like in some sense as if it's hungry, the body shouted, "Immortality, I don't want to die. I want to endlessly exist as a healthy being, as a pure energy." And the soul was like, "Whoa, the body wants immortality." And then the soul was like, "Let me see what the mind wants." And then the soul said, "Mind, what do you want?" And the mind was silent, so silent as if waiting for the patience of the questioner to run out. And the mind said, "I am bored with infinity." The body might want infinity. The body might want immortality. But the mind, as the mind, you don't understand what your mind, you don't understand what your mind is. And excuse me, I'm speaking to my projection of whoever I think humanity is. The mind, in some sense, responded to the soul and said, "Soul, I am scared." The body is clueless. It just wants immortality like a child wants a toy. But the mind looked at the soul and said, "I am scared because there are infinite ways to look at this world. I can be infinitely right and infinitely wrong." As if there was a reason Zorro was fucking destroying people's property and drawing Zeds everywhere. Fucking Zorro, piece of shit. No, I'm kidding. Oh man, Zorro legit saved me from this intense emotion. Anyways, back to it though. What is the point? The soul said, mind, what do you want? And the mind, in some sense, infinite perception. I am bored. I don't know. Free me from infinity. That means, check this out, the body. The body's like, yo, bro, immortality. I want to exist in it. Witness the, Andromeda Milky Way collision, And the mind is like, you fool. Form, you poor form, that you want immortality. Imagine you got immortality and they were like, good job, you became immortal. Now endlessly walk an infinite landscape. That's terrifying, ladies and gentlemen. It's like being a being that has a vertical dimension and a horizontal dimension, and then you're like, okay, infinitely horizontal. So the soul realized that the mind, the intellect, wanted freedom from boredom, from being trapped in a box that's slowly changing. Yet it is not a box. And so the soul asking the body, what do you want? The body's like, immortality, The body's like, I want infinity. The mind's like, yo, free me from infinity, And the soul, and now the soul comes to itself and it asks itself, what do I want? And, this is my opinion. But you're going to laugh at what the soul wants. It wants to return home. It wants to remember the original never changed. The uncaused caused it, yet the uncaused remained. The majesty of the system admin. It is in some sense as if we are 8 billion. We are 8 billion soldiers on a battlefield of manifestation. As if we come into the world, in 100 years we have form, shape, energy to do something, and then we leave. Then we exit. Then it's the next thing. So, 8 billion human organisms on a rock in the middle of nowhere. And my ego, this is what changed, that my ego convinced me. Just because you can see an answer doesn't mean you're the one to give it. That is my secret suffering. All praise due to the Lord of worlds. I am nothing. I'm nothing. I'm crying over nothing. It is pretty much like, imagine 8 billion human beings are like a herd, but this herd is moving through time. We're moving through the jungles of time. And so imagine, like for example, me, or it could be anybody, right? But for example, one member of the herd suddenly noticed something. And was like, hey, we're living like 2-dimensional beings here, but there's some 3-dimensional stuff going on. And 2 dimensions can't answer the 3 dimensions. You know, if we were in a, this is of course everything God knows, first of all, in the religious context, an important filterization. That first of all, God was uncaused. God created the world, created the soul. God tested the soul. The test failed. The soul failed the test. The soul came down to be retested. But the test suddenly amplified. The second test. I think even, I'm not Christian, but I think even maybe the idea of the second coming could be as if like the second result of the test, you know. So God is testing us. So we're in the second test. And so if anybody's ever been on a Discord server, there's a system admin, there's moderators, there's members. When I say the members' existence, what I discovered the system administrator. Do you know what that means? A bunch of creatures on a rock in the middle of nowhere. You know, it after a very long time, we're like, whoa, we're here. What the fuck? You know, like they're like, whoa, we're here. We noticed ourselves. Check this out. So we became conscious. Notice there is a world here. Now, what's the next level up from this? We notice there is an owner to the world here. Now religion doesn't seem too bizarre, huh? When you actually consider how the human being is functioning. Do you know that right now you are being administered by systems and you are administering systems? And yet when it comes to the world having a system admin, oh, preposterous, like get out of here. Even Voltaire was smart enough, but I think he came to it through a geometrically, where he said even if the idea of God did not exist, it would be necessary for man to create it. And why did an atheist say this? Because what is the ultimate archetype? You see, the prophets did something that is giving goosebumps to people who are alive now. Let me explain. The prophets gave an answer to a question that after their time, now we're starting to see they gave an answer. Do you know what it is? I will tell you, everybody's going to come to this. You're going to think this is my, you know, ego, but I see it like literally, it's like how a Jenga pieces fall. Like this is how you see it. This is how I see it. Knowledge, natural divine surveillance state in place, he will in some sense be administered, his form would be administered by, not administered, but would be conditioned by an undivine surveillance state. You see, the honest truth is human beings cannot govern humans. It's bullshit. It's freaking bullshit. And you're gonna be like, yo, Mr. Within, I mean, how has civilization happened so far? I'd be like, no, let me tell you why it's bullshit. Because the human being has blind spots. So by being a human being means I have a blind spot. So how can I administer something that I have the blind spot of? You see? Oh, I'm feeling a bit lightheaded actually. But because I think it's the intensity of the depth of the idea. that we are not the main event. God is the main event. God is the system admin. In, for example, Islam, it's saying don't go to any worldly form. Don't ask help from any formed thing. Ask from that which is beyond it all. That means imagine somebody who's retired from skydiving and somebody who's gone to like 3 skydiving, experiences, and somebody who's there first time. And the guy who's gone to 3 skydiving sessions like, yo, bro, let me teach you. And the old guy there is quiet. I thought wisdom speaks, but wisdom waits, and then it automatically, it gets spoken. So, situation change. You're not on a rock in the middle of nowhere with 8 billion creatures on it, intelligent creatures. You're in a system, and based on from which point of self we choose to see the system, it has meaning. So think of it this way. It's as if you don't have a membership, you can't enter the club. So if you don't have an acquaintance with a form, when the form enters your awareness, how do I... Let me see. Okay, nice. Somebody in the chat section says, how can a caused entity recognize or have knowledge that it is caused by a source beyond itself? Okay, so I'm trying to think which way to answer. One idea is the notion of the infinite regress fallacy. So technically it cannot make sense that the creator has a creator, because then what was the first creator? You can never know. It's a fallacy. So the first domino has to be pushed by something that is not limited to a domino. Okay? And so it's kind of like you're asking, like, how can a cause entity recognize or have knowledge that it is caused by a source beyond itself? I mean, how can a caused entity recognize? That part is easy to answer. How can a caused entity recognize or have knowledge that it is caused by a source beyond itself? You know what it's like? It's like saying, how can a child have knowledge that it was born by its parents? I guess this is the soul. Your soul can know it. Because the soul is the secret of God, and technically it's uncaused. I mean, I shouldn't say it's uncaused, it's created. Let me tell you what it is. If I created like some sort of AI robot, like the most advanced possible, and I put this robot in like a room with clues, and I left the room, and I asked myself, like, yo, how can this robot figure out that it was created by something that is not it? That means the prophets revealed that which was on the top of the bookshelf of the genius of the fathomable. Means the genius of the fathomable can't reach it. So the answer is a caused being cannot, let's say, okay, it's like me writing a novel and saying, how can a character in this fiction novel I wrote contact me? That's an incredible question. So the answer is it's by divine decree. It's because the system admin may want. Do you know? That's the cool thing. It's alive. Our actions matter. How you hold yourself as a being to yourself, others, and the world, and in the presence of that which is beyond them all, it matters. So I would love to know your own answer, whoever commented the question, and also the viewers. See, this is, I don't know, this is I keep going to my eyes, my direct experience, and my experience is that it's not like I have a cell phone and I'm like, yeah man, let me call God right now. It's not like this. My relationship with the creator, with the system admin, it occurred not out of force, not because I was, how do I say it, not because I was like, somebody's like, do it. It wasn't because of that. I had respected myself enough to give myself my own pace of figuring things out. And what ended up happening was that it was incredible because the system admin was like, how would I say it? It's like, imagine, this is hypothetically speaking, no being in the world is equal to that which is beyond the world, right? So what I'm saying, I'm just a biological organism communicating to you, you know, but on some deep level, I'm a soul that's concerned. I'm a concerned soul, but I'm concerned about it all because that is the type of man I am. If I don't live for that which was the most important value, I failed to be alive at all if I didn't see that we from the beginning have been in the presence of the Almighty, that which is beyond yourself, even beyond your others and the world. That means if you're like, yo man, I'm Gaian, you know, I believe in war, I am God, everything is God. Wrong. That's like somebody coming to your house and you're the owner of the house and being like, yo man, this isn't the owner of the house. Everything is the owner of this house. This lamp that I'm smashing to the wall is the owner of the house. Do you see? Anyways, guys, so where am I going with this? I'm trying to, in some sense, explain that as a human being in 2024, with 32, you know, years of constantly waking up in this world, it's like we're not here to be just physically great, because there is so many physically greater things. So the point cannot be like try to fascinate God by what we do. That is like, yo, God's never seen this before. You know, it's not. I don't think that's not the case. I think the case is, this might sound hilarious, but it's like the same test that Adam and Eve failed. It's the same test. Do you know? So Adam and Eve forgot that God was there from the beginning. That means it's like to, you see, man cannot know. There's this idea even that after Prophet Muhammad, he was the last brick on the wall of truth. And what does this idea imply? This idea implies that after Prophet Muhammad, humanity no longer requires revelation. It can happen by God's decree. God can do anything. God could be like, soul, I will show you behind the scenes, but I'm not going to show that soul behind the scenes. But you might have to go tell that soul about this. To be honest, God is so beyond us that for me to speak about God doesn't even make sense. But for me to say, hey, we're in this, like, metaphorically speaking, in this video game setting, you come into this video game, just like video games, your character respawns every day, okay, but you have to take care of your biological existence. Pretty much, if you're a new human being or any sort of conscious, God knows what you are that you're listening. But pretty much the idea is that it is so much cooler to see what the great plan was, rather than to just have an inadequate attempt. All right, guys, I gotta flip the phone. I can't. Okay, somebody says, can the system admin send aliens? First of all, these are amazing questions. Two, even if aliens landed, and let's say an advanced evil alien species, this is something I've written in my sci-fi. Imagine an advanced alien species is about to invade Earth, and they come down and they're like, we're gonna invade you. Kind of like, imagine like Mafia, Godfather style. And we look at them and we're like, you do not see what is watching all of us right now. And it would in some sense be the battle of infinite power against God's decree, which always wins. It is remarkable discovering, like, do you understand how bizarre it is? It's like, there was this Rick and Morty episode where, I don't know what it was, but it was like this scene where they, you know, they get stuck into like some like higher beings, like museum or something, I don't know. This world is different. The system admin, the first thing the system admin is saying, I am all merciful. I am all forgiving. But if you are worshiping yourself, if you're worshiping others, if you're worshiping the world, then you're missing out. It's like the artwork that is like the human being is like an artwork that has a privilege to notice. At least you want to contact the system admin. You start by finding a moment where you can go sit on a park bench and be like, okay, I'm gonna look at where I am. I'm gonna look at where I am. And I'm gonna start from there. And I don't believe in anything, but just from looking at where I am, the complexity, the majesty of the synchronization and coordination of events, the legacy of how we survived and figured out enough to even survive to come this far. It is remarkable how we are here. And that's when you enter the remarkable. Because that to live a life, like, think of it this way. Some people are like, yo man, I don't want to have a commander. I want to be a commander. And then when they see the battlefield, they're like, holy shit, you know, where's the commander? And there is only one place you need to go. go to God directly. Just like a child, you know, or imagine a kid going to the principal, right? Just like that. Same feeling. Okay? I want you to, for a moment, just throughout your day, realize that what man can do is bound by the imaginable. What the system admin has done has been unimaginable from the beginning. We can't even figure out, linearize a line of imagination around it. That doesn't make sense through it. What has changed is that before I was just like some kid, some exuberant, some excited soul running towards, like, yo, the advanced civilization is possible. Yo, everybody, 8 billion human beings. Yo, get your shit together quickly. Come on, guys, come on, hurry. You know, and people are like, yo, what's going on? And we're like, okay, guys, now that everybody's listening, we want to build the most advanced civilization. But in order to do this, we require the most advanced power. And when we look to find the most advanced power to use to build the most advanced civilization, we discover the advanced power is already building it. That means me coming in here and saying, yo guys, let's build an advanced civilization, even before I speak, the blueprints of it, the decree, the majesty, and yet it is beyond human knowledge. So you're like, yo, are you a hopeful man? I say I am a human being, where it's like hope means there's an image you want or you expect. For me, game has changed. It's like when I wake up in the morning, it's like, hey, good morning, you know. It's like once you have acknowledged the world, you realize it makes sense to acknowledge the admin of the existential system you're experiencing yourself in. And it's simple. Like, it's not like people think like, yo, what does it mean? Does that mean it's like, yo, there's an overlord? I'm saying, buddy, you're worshiping something that's beyond form. It's beyond the world. I'm telling you, yo, don't connect to anything in the system. Members and moderators, no offense to the moderators, I mean, divine decree handles it. But in actuality, the wisest thing we have heard is, yo, man, if you find yourself in a random system admin, right? Like in a random system, go and contact the system admin directly. And this is coming from a guy who was shy. You've had a strange childhood when you look back at your childhood and you're like, yo, man, there were so many different ways I could have lived that. Somebody says, could aliens be God's work? I mean, the thing is, I don't presume anymore. I used to be like, okay, as long as I can figure it out, I can know it. But that's not the case, because it's authorization. That means whoever told you, yo, man, just work hard. Yo, guys, it doesn't make sense. Work hard in an infinite empty box? What the fuck? That doesn't make sense. You work hard in the presence of an administration system. You see, it's not like if you notice, like recently when I've given the talks, I'm trying, it's not that I'm trying, it's just the temptation for poetry is less. It's just like how do I say it? It's like every person we have met and every person who's alive right now if there never was death, is going somewhere. Yet we can like fathom it in a, like we can think of going places in a worldly condition. That means the person's like, yo man, I'm trying to get home, but my home is not worldly. So how do I get home? Then you realize the concept of home is worldly. You see, it's who's in command. If you think you're in charge, like here, this is a test. This is a way to test where you stand. If I ask you what or who is the most important thing in your life, what is the most important thing in your life, and if you say like yourself, you are a self-worshipper. If you say others, you are other worshiper. You worship people. Even the world is not, it's beautiful, but doesn't mean beauty should be worshipped. Something I had to, in some, like, reorganize my freaking cultural conditioning. It's as if, is it more important to be nice or is it more important to be real? Real, to be real. To realize reality, to be fascinated by it, to be amazed that there's a species here, that it will have a legacy, that at some point, all the beings that are present now, they will return to the system admin. They will meet the system admin. It's remarkable. It's like working as a janitor of a company and then meeting like the CEO, and the CEO comes and shakes your hand. And you're like, yo man, I'm a janitor, can you give me more money? Like, and the guy's like, yeah, here, have my car. I'm that kind of CEO. Oh, how long has it been? How long have I been speaking? 47 minutes, my God. It felt like an hour, 20 minute lecture. Anyways, dear listeners, there's way more to say, but one thing I wanted to say, that in my observation today of my grandparents and how weak and silly, and we pretty much, as we get old, we become children. And childhood is conducted through silliness. That means any person you see that's suddenly funny, that brings laughter, but not demented laughter, like not laughter at destruction, but laughter at just like, yo, this is how else something else is. But not this, not in a sense that it's like, all right, let's like, you know, talk about, I don't know, modern comedy needs to step up its intellectual game. Oh my, okay. All right, guys, if there's any questions, please share them now. This talk's gonna end in a little bit, and I might go on Discord. Somebody said, how do I contact something that is beyond form? So this is the way that it's made sense to me. You contact it as if you are a peasant in the presence of the majesty of that which is beyond your imagination. It's great. It's like the greatest power of being. And in that moment where you are praying, it's as if forget all what the world told you. Your body, mind, soul, all that you are bows to the presence. That means you act the way I feel. It's not that I contacted God. It's that I was like, forgive me. Forgive me. I didn't know. Forgive me. And I still don't know. Forgive me. I don't know if I will ever know. Forgive me. You see, there are powers in the outer realm, which is called magic, and it's haram. And it of course, because it's like touching dirty clothing. It's as if like the body that wanted immortality, that was scared of death, was like, whoa, you're telling me I don't die. Religion is an ideological system that says a part of you dies, but you don't. But your character, your conduct mattered. A test means a performance. Do you understand? And it can't be insincere because you break down. That means like my honest relationship with God wasn't like, yo man, are there ghosts in this building? It wasn't like some stupid, excuse me, it wasn't ignorance like that. It was like, I have reached my limit. It's like I felt I contacted God when I felt I failed as a soul. As if like you gave me this body, this mind. I don't know what to do with it though. Forgive me. It's like an actor in the middle of a theater play, like breaking down. Like a person being spiritual in a materialistic, like in a physical realm. It's like you're in the middle of being human and suddenly you notice something else. And then you notice the system administration going on behind the scenes of how you even noticed, of how you are in attendance at all. What do you think has brought you here? It is not a person. I mean, you might be like your parents, but like it's not just people. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, before souls were born in the womb, before they arrived in the world, they were in a place called Alam al-Arwah, which is in some sense like a world of souls. And in that world of souls had ranks. There was a ranking system, and souls of the same rank noticed each other. And one person asked, what about those souls that there were like no other, like the prophets? They were above worldly desire. They were top rank, top tier souls. You don't understand, because I'm a visual thinker. When I went to understand religion and I heard the stories, it wasn't just like I heard sentences and that's it. You know, it was as if scenes came to life. I began to visualize the internal strength you need to go to a city and be like, stop fucking around. The power of Abraham to look at his father and say, our forefathers were wrong. All praise due to the Lord of the worlds. All praise due to the Lord of the worlds. Sorry guys, it was on mute. Can somebody tell me how long it was on mute? Alright, anyways, sorry about that. I think it might have been a couple minutes. Pretty much I was passionately saying that the system admin knows. That the system admin has a might that human form cannot fathom. So it would be like a human being like, okay, I gotta imagine a human inventor wanting to create the greatest imaginable invention, and then realizing that which is administrating reality invented existence. Like when you think about that, it's like God makes this world rather than an empty, infinite box. It turns it into, in some sense, advanced system where truth is not per se about you having just like learned something. It's about you realizing that the system admin is an original power. That's all you should consider. God is the original power of reality. That means if all of this went away tomorrow, the original that you notice could not. And when I say notice, I mean, you see it's through humility. We made a mistake. Yet faith means it doesn't matter, because God is not mistaken in God's decree. I feel comforted that there is a system admin, and I feel comforted that the members, upon realizing there's a system admin, are gonna suddenly be like, yo, we don't need moderators, deities, aliens, spirit guides, it's as if directly go to the system admin, and then the moderators, let's say all the deities in polytheism, they're gonna be like, whoa, human beings are no longer like worshiping worldly form, right? And then the moderators are like, yo, the members were so honorable to the system admin that they caused the moderators to honor the system admin. That means, imagine if there were 8 billion souls or all the souls in creation, and imagine none of them sinned ever. It's as if the fallen angel, the devil archetype, the devil will, in some sense, or Krishna, all the other deities and all other moderators, it's as if all the deities, even the devil, is gonna be like, yo, these guys all went to the system admin. There's no one left to deceive. Maybe I have deceived myself. Maybe God from the beginning knew, and hence why is almighty. You see, it's the brilliance of the design. The members, in some sense, everything is it's as if there is something called like mastery, human mastery, and then those who reach, let's say, human mastery, they're privileged to see divine mastery. And divine mastery is not like you suddenly see somebody act masterful or see something. It's noticing how the whole moment is in a masterful orchestration. And it's not just by constraints of a mechanical system. It's by a system that has an admin. It's like remarkable. It's like, yo, it's like, you know what it is? It's like the characters in my fiction novel, right? Suddenly being like, yo, man, there's an author that wrote us. No way. What else is the author gonna write? Maybe we should have faith and play our part and get to see what else the author had intended for us. You see, faith is beautiful. Faith is like a backup system, protecting you from your future, from the weight of your future self not crushing you. Anyways, to be honest, I've had a very intense day. Work-wise, I mean. Long day. Too many events happened today. Alright. Pretty much, the system admin knows. That's what's key. What am I looking for? There we go. Alright. So guys, Discord link. Thank you for commenting, guys. You know, it means humanity has already noticed there's a lot of stuff happening. I mean, that's what it means. Alright, guys, click on the Discord link. I don't know. Here, let's create an event. People are like, is Mr.Within discovering Discord for the first time? Guys, after today seeing my grandparents, I've decided to be the silliest person I know. I mean, not that silly, but like not like I've become so relaxed because at the end we'll be freaking out too. So while we're young and alive, like to freak out doesn't make sense really. It makes sense to actually see the brilliance of our design. It's kind of like, what is the privilege or the advantage of being a created being? An advantage of being a created being is, in some sense, you can work with creation and you can also access that which was beyond creation, which inevitably we are. So it's kind of like, you know, and some person is going to be like Mr.Within. So you're really into the idea of the advanced civilization, but then there's Judgment Day from the theological angle. Judgment Day is just the final advancement of the advanced civilization. And the advanced civilization, I was seeing a secular version of it, right? But not secular, but a very integrated version. But the important thing is, as someone who may, God knows, be responsible for designing perhaps how civilization will look, or somehow these talks might have an influence on how people design civilization. The key thing is to acknowledge all that is in the room. It means we got to look at pretty much strategy works like this, is where there's a goal and then there's a strategy formulated for it, and then there's the tactics that are the smaller actions that bring about it. Right now, we can't all act as strategists, but we can all take sort of tactical responsibility. And what that means is, in some sense, unifying under a collective premise. Pretty much what I think is going to happen, pretty much I got the clue from my science fiction, is that, what do you call it? Pretty much a new nation is going to come, which every human being, by being born as a human, will be a member of this nation of humanity. I called it Noh, N-O-H, in my sci-fi. Well, pretty much it's the idea that our universal human values, human rights, were globally prioritized, universal human rights, over anything that could be a consequence of an egoic matter. An egoic matter means of that law. They live in a system of those laws. Anyways, guys, I'll see you on Discord. And I'll end this talk by saying, by laughing at time, I meant I just, as someone in his 30s, saw someone in their 90s, and just saw how frail and lonely, just how with ourselves we're left. And so it's an opportunity to have a species that is young and energetic to insult. Like there should be a fine. There should be a legal fine for anyone who is young, who is shy. There should be an introversion fine, right? That means if you're under, let's say if you're under 35 and you're shy, oh man. More and more, it's appearing to me as a divine system, very video game like. Just like you play a video game, you play a character in a world, yet you have access to a viewpoint outside of that character. And you're sitting outside of the computer screen, and that character is existing in a 2D pixelated reality, which appears to you as 3D, right? And people are like, yo, man, what good comes from playing video games? Yeah, maybe we figure existence. Video gamers are like, yeah, Mr. Within, yeah. Yo, man, I've reached this point where I'm like, have kind of been possessed by my fascination of wanting to be surprised, by wanting to see if I don't touch the moment, if I have no opinion. And I just simply are like, all right, I have faith. All right, let me see what happens. Faith means you're not worried anymore. That means don't worry. It's like, imagine somebody's like, yo, man, just sleep. Let's say in a road trip when I was a kid, my parents were like, sleep, kids. It's like a long road trip, right? And we would have pure faith that there would be nothing wrong. And me and my twin brother would sleep in the back of the car, like our heads on each window side, right? And my parents kind of like, everything. It was faith. As a kid, you're a creature of faith. Do you understand? You look at nature, they are creatures of faith too. If somebody is like, okay, what about lower beings and higher beings? It's like they are creatures of faith too. The lower beings don't realize it yet, the higher beings know it. Because it's awesome. It's like, yo, we're not on some random freaking place. We're in a divine, believe it or not, kingdom. So think of it this way. If heaven is a kingdom, metaphorically speaking, when to speak about God in heaven and the divine, these are beyond worldly forms, guys. So don't like, even though I'm passionate, but I'm telling you, don't worship self, others, or the world. I'm considered others to you. Right? Right? The system admin is watching at any moment. Any moment you could be like, okay, I am performing, and this is a test, and it's nice. I haven't been tested in a while. Let me be tested, right? And the person is not being tested in expectation, but think of it this way. There's something very remarkable about the idea of a test. You want me to tell you what it is? When they give it to you, they've already given the answer to you before. Your result is just based on if you studied or not. You figured out what the answer was. So it means every soul deep down knows the answer to what they're being tested on. I think that's a cool statement. What do you guys think? And guys, you can join Discord now. I'm pretty much creating the event. Somebody says, if you go beyond the day, you've gone too far. Faith is knowing this. I'm reading this from the chat section. Faith is knowing truth in a belief. There is no other. I feel like there's maybe more to this. Or no, actually, when you say there is no other, I mean, there is nothing more. So, to be honest, I don't know. God knows. I'm just telling you, go to the system admin. And once you've acknowledged the system admin, then, you know, carry on, civilian, or I should say civilian. Just creating words. All right. How do I start this event? All right, guys. So thank you for listening. Final thoughts on this episode. Somebody says faith is knowing truth in a belief. I think faith is realizing intellectually when the mind doesn't know what to do in a world where there's infinite viewpoints. It in some sense, its submission makes sense suddenly, because it's like, do you know what it is? It's like not acknowledging what's here, and think of God as the original power of the realm, the original. It's so pure, right, that as man gets close to God, it's as if that's beyond even explanation. Anyways, guys, thank you for listening. May God Almighty forgive the human species and forgive all souls in this world, the human species, and to allow us, or I shouldn't say to allow, God knows what I would say. May God forgive our species, and may we truly realize the presence of the admin. And it's not like anybody can come and speak for the admin, because the point is it's beyond the world. So they're like, yo, are you worshiping somebody? I'm like, it's beyond the world. It's uncaused. That means if there's something to worship, it seems to be that. But it's alive, it's present. And in the limitations of myself, in what I couldn't do, in what my imagination, as someone with, a kind of, slightly wild imagination, right? I saw the limitations of myself, and I saw the limitations of others, and I just saw the limitation of our world, and I just didn't know how else things can happen. And that's when I bowed for the first time to God, truly, consciously, sincerely. And what happened after that was enough proof for me. The way problems I could not, solve myself unimaginably God solved. Like, to the point where I was like, okay, I'm sorry. Time to work can be the artist. The artist is far superior, right? The artwork may be able to appreciate and notice how the artist is drawing it still, or that's called gratefulness, right? Or in some sense, but the artwork cannot be. You are the worldly cannot be that. Do you understand what I'm saying? I shouldn't say it cannot be that. I'm saying form is in a zone of infinitude. Anything that has form, it might loop. Anyways, thank you for listening. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. All praise due to the Lord of the world. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. I am nothing. All praise due to the Lord of the worlds. Yeah, go direct to the system, man. Through the decency of how you're even here as a being. I cannot represent the system admin. I'm just that human being who's like, it's not a rock with 8 billion creatures, spinning in the middle of nowhere anymore. It's a administered system. Seems like there's ranks, but the ultimate point is to go directly to the system admin. So to be conscious that life is not a school to infinitely become a more powerful being. That it's more like a party where everybody is here and we're like, where's the host? And the host is not here and we're like, we have faith that we will meet. We will come to where we were designed for. I don't know what I was designed for, but I'm participating and playing the role to see where it goes, like the fascination. But it's not just that. It's the fascination of wanting to see where it goes after having played your part, which I think by nature unlocks it. But all praise due to God. All praise due to the Lord of the worlds. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of God, the most merciful and the most benevolent. It's incredible. The original power is here. The cause never left the effect. Thank you for